Hey, good evening. It's Pastor Mary. I'm sitting outside tonight, a little bit different angle than I normally am, but I'm glad to be with you. It is Tuesday evening. Doing these devotions helps me keep straight what day it is. It's Cinco de Mayo, so happy Cinco de Mayo. We had shrimp fajitas with spicy coleslaw tonight, but Tuesdays are our Taco Tuesday night, so we usually have fajitas or tacos on Tuesday night pretty much all year round. So it's kind of cool that Cinco de Mayo falls on today. So it's good. It was good food. My husband cooked it. It was great. And so happy Cinco de Mayo to all of you. Also, I just want to make sure to say happy Teachers Day. This week is National Teachers Week. And today is National Teachers Day. And I know many wonderful, wonderful teachers. I want to say thank you to the teachers of our congregation, from Amy Drogmiller to Gail Harville, to Heather, who works in schools, parapro, because we should celebrate all of them. I want to celebrate those who are retired. Thinking of Jane Moshe, even though she is no longer with us. She was a teacher for many years. I think of Janet, who was a teacher. I think of Rita Bennett, who was a teacher. I know there were other teachers, so if you're a teacher, my friend Deb, who's on, she's a former preschool teacher. Courtney, who still has preschool in her home. Courtney Schemmel. I'm trying to think. If you know a teacher, please write him a note, send him a text today, or say happy, thank you for being a teacher. We owe so much to our teachers, and I'm very grateful for all of our teachers. I also want to thank Christopher's teachers, Miss Tiffany, and Miss Alexis, who every day go the extra mile for Christopher and make a huge difference. Yes, for Mr. John and Andrea too. Deb is reminding me. Yeah, Laura, it is warm here. It's really nice. There is some rain in Georgia, but it's more North Georgia. It's up by Helen tonight, which most people in Georgia know Helen. Great area, like a little Bavarian German town. It's wonderful, wonderful, but it's much farther north, I'd say. Where I live is probably about 2 hours away. So anyway, happy Teachers Day. Happy, want to thank the teachers who've made a difference in our kids' life and the difference they've made. And I'm sorry you all are cold and rainy back in Illinois. I hope you will have warmer days ahead. Yes. And Ellie, thank you for being a piano teacher. Even now, you are a piano teacher. In your spry, as your spry self in your second half of life, you are still an amazing piano teacher. I know that. So, I do want to share a few prayer requests, but I'll wait. If you have any, please send them to me, and any Thanksgivings, share those with me as well. If you weren't on last night, I was reading from a little book called Solstices and Equinoxes, a Farmer's Meditations, and I was sharing last night about reading this for the spring equinox and how beautiful it is, and I shared part of it last night, and I was sharing about growing up on a farm, and we had a wonderful garden when I was a kid, and my mom had 100 chickens every year, and I forgot to say we got lots of eggs, and I was remembering today, my brother Tim is on here, when we were in high school, and my parents I think they bought it, my dad would grow sweet corn sometimes in a small field that we would have, but one year, my dad bought a whole back of a truck, not these huge big honking trucks, but the regular trucks that most people drove in the 70s, the Chevys, and it was the whole back of the truck was filled with corn, sweet corn, and we shucked all the corn and then my mom and I don't know if my brothers helped, but we cut the corn off of all those cobs. I bet there was 300 plus cobs. We cut it all, we bagged it all, we froze it all, and we would have it in the winter, fall and winter and spring. It would last us, and it was, you know, if you've ever had food from a farm, or you had family, grandparents, or anybody that lived on a farm, you know how wonderful food on the farm is. So, but it was really, really yummy, and but it was a lot of work. And what I remember is that my brother Tim and I went and saw Godspell, the play, that night. We'd seen the movie, and I think we'd seen the play before, but we got to go that night to see Godspell as a play. I don't remember where, but I've always loved Godspell, and that's a memory of mine, of the corn that we everybody shucked and everybody cut off. We cut off the cob and froze for the fall, the winter, and the spring. So many, many wonderful memories of growing up on the farm. Sarah, if you see this, Sarah from our church, who's also spry and in her early 90s, still makes the best strawberry jam that I've ever had. She is an amazing strawberry jam maker, and if you ever get a chance to try her strawberry, okay, there's a difference between jam and jelly, and I can't tell you. Somebody on here probably can, but hers is like refrigerator strawberry jelly, and it is just amazing. It is so good. So I wanted to read you a little bit more from this tonight, a little bit more but just about the earth and about the planting season for Henry's Farm in Illinois. Henry's Farm is a organic I think it's 300 acre or 330 acre farm, which doesn't seem like a lot of land, but if you're growing vegetables on it, that's a really big farm, and that's a lot of work. So I stopped with what I shared last night, but I want to share a few more paragraphs with you that he wrote for our devotion tonight. So this is talking about preparing the ground and the vegetables that will be grown in the spring. Before breaking the first ground of spring, the field is a patchwork quilt in shades of green and black. The patches of blue-green stippled with pale, soft green are the wheat and hairy fetch cover crop I sowed last autumn. The black patches mark the places where late last season beds of fall greens, carrots, turnips, and choy flourished. These crops formed a canopy that shaded out late germinating weeds. By the time the crops were harvested in late November and December, it was too late to plant a cover crop and too late even for the winter annual weeds to germinate and grow. So the soil is bare. The rich, dark green patches are where late crops of lettuce, beets, and other non-canopy forming crops stood. Once the crops were large enough to hold their own last fall, I allowed the weeds to grow, so now these beds are covered with winter annual weeds, predominantly field pennycress. Field pennycress is a wonderful weed. I'm going to stop for a minute. Somebody's comment to me was, you know what a weed is, don't you? And I said, no. They said it's a plant that's growing where it shouldn't be. So I find that interesting because some of the prettiest flowers I've seen are in what people call weeds. So I go on. Field pennycress is a wonderful weed. It survives the winter, helping to hold the soil against winter erosion and wind. Already now, even before the grass has started to green out, it is growing rapidly and will reach 12 to 18 inches over the next month. Now remember, he's talking about in March, when he's starting to prepare to plant. When many of the first plantings are going in the ground mid-April, the pennycress will provide a rich green manure to till in prior to planting. And it was interesting to hear him use that word as manure, because in my family, and many farm families, they have what's called a honey wagon, and the honey wagon spreads liquid manure onto the ground because it's so rich in nutrients that it helps fertilize the ground. But it was always called the honey wagon, which I always found really funny. Since pennycress only germinates in the fall or early spring, it rarely competes with my vegetable crops. Finally, pennycress is in the mustard family. Like all mustards, it contains glucosinolates, the class of phytochemicals that gives the broccoli, mustard, turnip family its characteristic strong taste. When glucosinolates from pennycress or other crucifers break down in the soil, some of the compounds formed are strong natural nematicides. Nematodes are nearly microscopic, worm-like organisms that attack plant roots, decreasing plant vigor and causing tough and misshapen carrots and other root crops, which is interesting because I would never have known that. Incidentally, it says glucosinolates have also been shown to detoxify certain carcinogens and also to inhibit cancer and tumor growth. Studies show that eating your broccoli or mustard greens, or pennycress for that matter, reduces the incidence of colon and rectal cancers in particular. Pacing along the grassy aisles, I began to mentally replace this patchwork with vegetable beds. I painted a cornfield here, my first planting of greens there, the shady spot reserved for hot season lettuce beds, no broccoli over there by the stream because the groundhogs will get them. I love that. Spring imagings are all about the art of crop rotation. The first rule of rotation is to never follow a crop with another crop of the same family. Each type of vegetable requires a unique spectrum of nutrients. Every crop family plays host to its own set of insect pests and plant diseases. Each crop interacts with different weed species, beneficial insects, and soil microbes in a different way. The farmer who plants the same family in the same place is asking for problems with fertility, insects, disease, weeds, and soil health. And then I skip down a paragraph. Although some crops have to be planted in large blocks for reasons such as pollination, which is sweet corn, or ease of harvest, such as tomatoes, I try to mix up the rest of the vegetables as much as possible. I'll plant a couple beds of lettuce, followed by a bed of green onions, followed by 2 beds of cabbage, then perhaps a bed of carrots. When a cabbage butterfly, I never knew this before, when a cabbage butterfly flits over the field looking for a place to lay its eggs, it might fly right over the cabbage beds without even realizing it. The more diversity I can introduce into my field, the fewer pest problems I have, and the healthier the environment will be. Now I skip the next page. Just talk some more about nitrates and all that kind of stuff. But I want to read a few more things to you. All spring, I till up beds as I need them. Since seeds germinate better if you let the green manure dry up and break down a little before planting, and since fresh plant matter clogs up my planter anyway, I need to get them tilled a week or 2 before I want to plant. So I'm still using my imagination, trying to imagine how many beds I'll need when, how fast the soil will dry, how fast the tilled-in material will break down, how much the cover crop will grow if I leave it. If I till too many beds too soon, I've squandered an important supply of nutrients. If I don't till enough beds, I'll have shot myself in the foot when it comes time to plant. And then I'm going to read you one more paragraph, and tomorrow night I'm going to finish reading some parts to you about the spring equinox. Slowly, as one spring day slides into the next, as the days inexorably lengthen and warm, the pictures in my head gradually take form on the canvas of the field. What was once a patchwork of greens and blacks will be transformed into an impressionistic masterpiece of rich colors and textures. Over 650 vegetable varieties, each given a local habitation and name. And then he shares a paragraph from William Shakespeare's A Midsummer's Night Dream, he says, with slight adaptations. The farmer's eye, in a fine frenzy rolling, doth glance from heaven to earth, from earth to heaven. And as imagination bodies forth the forms of things unknown, the farmer's plow turns them to shapes and gives to airy nothing a local habitation and a name. I love this. I really enjoyed it, and tomorrow night I will read you from the last page when he talks about the huge numbers and varieties of plants that they grow that are planted in the spring that grow into the summer and then are harvested and shared at farmers markets that Henry's Farm goes to. And I'm going to look up Henry's Farm tonight because it says one of the places that he goes is Evanston, Illinois Farmers Market. And my cousin Tish lives in Evanston, Illinois, and she knows the whole area inside and out because she's lived there for a very long time. She would walk to the lake every day in the summer. Her birthday, as I said last night, is on the first day of summer, and she celebrates the summer every day on Facebook. She lifts something up and shows beautiful pictures every day of family and friends and travels and water and of summer, and I just love it. I always enjoy it. But I'm going to see if Henry's Farm is still going to the farmer's market in Evanston, Illinois, because I have a feeling that my cousin Tish has actually probably bought vegetables from Henry's Market. So I just wanted to share that with you tonight. It makes me want to have a garden when we move. Like I told you last night, I planted some flowers and some herbs. But this week and tonight, Samuel and I drove by his Eagle Scout project. He actually redid 2 areas in front of the Henry County Veterans Museum that's in a park about 5 minutes from our house. And he did it last fall. I was not allowed to help because I'm the mom. But I went and bought red rocks for him more. And they cleaned out the weeds and put down liner and then put a number of red rocks and put in 2 pots. And in the pots they put flowers for the fall, but the flowers have died. So tomorrow afternoon, Sam and I, when David gets home from church, are going to go buy some flowers, and we're going to go over. There's 1 weed growing, so he's going to take that out. And then we're going to plant some new flowers because we want to keep doing that so that it looks lovely and welcoming to those who come to the Veterans Museum there. And then we'll take pictures, and that will be the final piece that he wants to share, because even though his project is over, he wants to continue to take care of things there for the Veterans Museum, which is here in McDonough, Georgia. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm going to hopefully buy my tomato plants tomorrow. Like I've said, I plant them in pots, but I hope next year to have a plot of ground where we're moving to, and I hope to get somebody or I'll rent a till, or I'll do it by hand, and hopefully put in a garden next year and remember my parents by that. But when I read this, I think of all my friends who garden, especially my friend Deb, and I think of others who love to garden, and I think of how close we are to God in our gardens, whether they're flowers or they're herbs or they're vegetables, and how much just to be out. I said I got to come out tonight and to hear the birds and just to give thanks to God for the beautiful creation. And I think that we've been so busy in life that it's very easy to overlook what God has blessed us with. And in some ways, another blessing, even though there's been many awful things happen with this COVID-19, that one of the other gifts is that it's helped us to slow down some and to give thanks and to pay more attention to what's around us instead of always going here and going there. Not that we don't want to do that, but taking just more time just to look at all that God has created and give thanks for it and to enjoy it and to take it in. And I hope that along with me that you are enjoying. And I know, I'm sorry, in the Midwest, I hope tomorrow will be less rainy, will be a more beautiful day. I'm looking forward to seeing those pictures of those lilacs when they open up soon, hopefully. But I've been amazed at the beautiful weather we've had. We've had some pretty amazing weather despite the rains that we've had. We've just had some gorgeous days, and today was one of those. So I'm very thankful for that. I want to share a few prayer requests with you, some things that I've collected up. I shared several with you last night, but and I did want to share that Christy Stormer, Larry's wife, has came home and is doing a lot better. The hard part is she's going to have to carry an EpiPen now, and anybody who knows anything about EpiPens, they've increased dramatically in price, but they are life-saving. and so the doctors have recommended for her that she carry one of those. I want to thank Susan Friend again, and I'm going to call Mary Johnson. We are keeping some masks at church, so if you need some, we've got extras there. You can just give a call to Lynn or let myself know, and we'll set them outside for you in a bag. But I thank David Friend for running mass to church twice today, and so that Larry could come get some for his family, and then we were leaving mass for somebody else today. I'm trying to remember somebody else that needed them. But if you need masks, we can even mail them to you. So if you're watching this and you need some, it's not the N95s, but if you need some masks that have been made that have elastic on them, we'd be glad to share them. Just let me know. Tell me how many you need, and send me your address, and I will get them in the mail to you as soon as I can, or we will set them out at church for you as well. Boy, my mind has gone blank who the other person... Oh, it was Elaine Bell. Because Elaine called today, and Kathy Gates probably already knows this, but I did not. So those of you who know Ken and Elaine, last Thursday, Ken was building... They have 5 dogs. They live in the country. They have horses. And he has an area for his dogs, and he was going to put some tin, make a roof so that when it rains, the dogs wouldn't get wet. And he was, I think, in his barn, and was on a ladder and slipped and fell and hurt himself real bad. He was able to get himself to his truck, and he was honking the horn. Elaine said she didn't hear it because she was making supper, but the neighbors heard it, and they came and got Elaine, and then they called the paramedics, and they took Ken. Well, they didn't tell Elaine where they took Ken, and for 2 days she didn't know where he was, but they took him to one of the hospitals in Atlanta, and I think it's called Atlanta Medical Center. It's like the only hospital I haven't been to in the metro area. I've literally been everywhere, all over the metro Atlanta area to hospitals, but it's one I don't know. But Elaine found him on Saturday because her neighbor, one of her neighbors, I don't know if it's the same neighbor, knew one of the drivers of the ambulance and called him, and he was able to tell them that Ken was in the hospital. Well, Ken was put in the ICU for several days. He had punctured a lung, broken several ribs, and hurt something else. And of course, Elaine can't go to the hospital because of everything with COVID-19. But she has talked to Ken on the phone several times. They've moved him out of the ICU to a regular floor. He's doing physical therapy, and it's helping a lot, and he's getting a lot better. So we give thanks to God for that. So Elaine doesn't know yet, but she's hoping that Ken will come home on Thursday, but that isn't for sure. So we just want to pray for Elaine while she's away from Ken, just to continue to have strength, and we pray for Ken that he will get feeling better every day, and that he will be able to come home soon. We also want to pray for Gwen Flowers Taylor, her mom, who was tested for COVID-19 and was found positive. She lives in a nursing home in Griffin, and hang on a second, I hadn't written down, I had written her today because, let's see, her mom's name is Ruby Reed, and so would you please pray for her. We just want to pray that she will get better, that nobody else there will get sick, and that she will be able to fight COVID-19. We also want to continue to pray for the Blackman family. For those of you who haven't heard me talk about them, they went through the tornado that was in Upson County, which is down by our church in Griffin. They're both police officers, and one of them is a police officer in Milner, and the other is a police officer in Barnesville. Their house collapsed on the mom with the 2 kids that were in the bathtub. She was able to kick out a wall. They were able to get out, but they lost almost everything. And so there's a collection going on for them through both of the police chiefs in those towns, but they have not been able to find a place to live. So if anybody knows those areas and might know a house for rent, I don't know if there's apartments or not for a family of 4. Please let Kay Pedrati or myself know, and we will pass on the information. But we want to continue to pray for those families. We also, I want to lift up it. I don't know if it's across the country, but in Georgia, it's supporting nonprofits today. And there's been a lot of work done to help, because many of the nonprofits are really hurting right now, like a lot of people and a lot of businesses, and they do so much good in our community. So I wanted to lift up Inspiritus, which is formerly Lutheran Services of Georgia and Tennessee. They have been doing a lot of work with, when there was the tornado that went through in Tennessee, they've been helping with the rebuilding there. They've been working with those who have scarcity of food, both in Tennessee and in Georgia. They've been working. They have homes for adults with special needs that they help take care of. And so we just thank them for their ministry and their work. And if you have $5 to donate and you're willing to, please look them up or support another nonprofit that you feel passionate about, because they will continue to be able to do the work they're doing because you and I pray for them, volunteer our time, and support them any way that we can. So thank you for being with me tonight. I've loved being outside with you. Before we go, I just wanted to share a prayer. I'd shared it on Facebook. My husband David had shared it with me, and I will be sending out a mailing tomorrow with recent prayer requests. So if you have any more prayer requests, I don't care where you're at. I'm trying to read everybody's notes. Yeah, Susan talked to Elaine. I'm sure that would be a great thing to help finish the dog pen. But if you have any praises, if you have any prayer requests for you or for anybody you know, or for the situation going on in the world, or for those who are unemployed, please feel free to call me, text me, email me, and I will include those in the mailing that I will do tomorrow. So it's been good to be with you. I pray for better weather in the Midwest. I pray for less rain so that the farmers can get in the fields. I pray for those farmers planting all kinds of crops, from vegetables to corn and beans and wheat and milo. I pray for our farmers who are really hurting, who have been raising cattle, and especially those raising hogs. There's such a problem going on in our country right now, and my heart, I grew up on a hog farm. My dad, my grandpa, my brothers raised hogs. My brothers, Tom and Ted, got out of hogs about 10 years ago or more. And I'm really grateful today they are, but I know some wonderful hog farmers in Illinois, the Holsketters. They raise, I think they used to raise 5,000 hogs from insemination to butchering, and they have their own pork process and sell, and they have fabulous products. So I just pray for all of the people who might be suffering, especially in the farm industry. And I pray for those who are sick, who have gotten COVID-19 in these places. And I pray that they don't have to work the lines, especially while they're ill. I just praying for all the scientists, everybody who's working on trying to find a real answer, a real vaccine, a real help for when you get it. Just praying for all of that, for the studies. There's just a lot to pray for right now. So thank you again, teachers, all of you wonderful teachers. Thank you so much. Tomorrow is National Nurses Day. So we're going to remember all our nurses tomorrow, although I've been remembering them a lot, and I'm very grateful for them. And I'll tell a little story about my personal reasons why I'm so grateful to nurses, because they are the reason that I exist. And I will tell you that story tomorrow. So before we go, let us pray. God, keep my anger from becoming meanness. Keep my sorrow from collapsing into self-pity. Keep my heart soft enough to keep breaking. Keep my anger turned towards justice, not cruelty. Remind me that all of this, every bit of it, is for love. And lastly, keep me fiercely kind. Amen. I'd like to add 2 more prayers for my cousin Laura, who had broken her leg, and I believe it's healed, but her leg is very weak, and I just pray that she can get the help she needs so she can get back on her feet again soon. And I ask for prayers for my sister of my heart, Deb, who is having trouble sleeping. And for all of you who might be struggling with sleep, I pray that there will be ways for you to be able to get sleep tonight and in the days and weeks to come. And those of you who may be dealing with anxiety or depression, I pray for you too. We've seen an upturn in suicide, and there are hotlines and help and for suicide, and also there's been an upturn in domestic violence. And so if you are in need of either of those, just Google, but tomorrow I will share those numbers for those places in case you know someone who might need to call one of those 2 hotlines. Well, dear friends and family, it's good to be with you tonight. I pray that God will bless you this evening, that you might be a blessing to others. And I thank you for spending your time with me. And I pray that tomorrow you may be a blessing to others. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. And may the Lord look upon you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in peace. Serve the Lord. Thanks be to God. Good night. Amen.